In this video, I'm going to show y'all why new car stereos suck. It's mainly this wiring harness right here. This is the harness that comes with this brand new Pioneer. Okay, this is a new Pioneer that I got in 2021. These wires are 22 gauge. This is some of the old radios I pulled out. One of them I replaced. These are all 18 gauge. And here's the factory harness still connected to this one. Here's what I want to point out. This is why new car stereos suck. I bought 3 new car stereos. This Pioneer is the 3rd one I've owned. Took the rest of them back, but I don't know if you. I'm gonna compare the power wire, but it's gonna be kind of hard to find this guy. Where is he at? Okay, that's power wire. But you can see the new wire on the new radio is smaller. I don't know if it's. You can really tell when you cut them and you use one of these wire strippers. That's when you'll really notice. So anyways, these wires are, this wiring harness right here is factory harness. I believe they're about 18 gauge. And you want the wires on this to match the same gauge as this. And they don't. These are smaller. All these wires on these new harnesses are smaller. I bought a JVC, I bought a Pioneer, and I bought something called Precision Power, but they're all using 22 gauge wire. And bad thing is your hot wire is 22 gauge, your speaker wire is 22 gauge. So anytime you have smaller speaker wire, what does that mean, everybody? Less power. Okay. So I was wondering, why this new stereo was so weak, and the main reason is the wiring on it. I mean, these old stereos were a lot louder than this new one. This one right here is rated at 30 watts by 4, and then I think I have another one that's rated 50 by 4. But if this one's rated 30 by 4 and it's louder, then that means that this one right here, this new Pioneer, is probably like rated 20 by 4. That's just my guess. But it's not no 50 by 4 or nothing like that. What does it even say? Oh, it even says 50 by 4. Look at that. It says 50 by 4. There is no way it is 50 by 4. No way. No way. So that one says, the Pioneer says 50 by 4. This one right here, this is a Pioneer. It says 45 by 4. This is a Sony. It says 30 watts by 4. Okay. So this new one says it's more powerful. It says it's more powerful, 50 by 4, but the wires are smaller. So figure that one out. How is it more powerful if the wires are smaller? It's a joke. But my problem is I want the wires to match the factory harness. I want, the power wire to be the same gauge as the wire on these harnesses. And this is obviously smaller, and everybody's making stereos like this with these 22 gauge wires on the harness, and it does not match. I mean, these are actually, I don't know if y'all can tell with the camera, but they are smaller, a lot thinner. So that's why new car stereos suck. Okay? And I noticed some people are selling vintage stereos from the 1990s for like $300, $500. Guess why? The wiring harness. That's why. I also attempted to use these crimp connectors on this 22 gauge wire whenever I was hooking up my new radio, and I would crimp down on it, and the crimper would cut this wire in half, because it's so thin. And I ended up having to solder the whole harness because these wires are so tiny. But these crimp connectors, they do not work with this little bitty wire. Even if you have the right size, connector and everything, because the wires are so thin, when you bite down, like I said, it cuts them in half. And they'll eventually, I had like 3 of them break. And then I said, forget it, and I just cut them all off and soldered the whole harness and used shrink tube and all that. But another thing that's bad is this wire is too short. Now you can see where I've cut some of the wire off of this one right here. But if this was actually plugged in level with the edge of this, you can see how the new harness is actually shorter. See, these old wires down here are longer. I mean, even after I cut them, they're still longer. So that's another thing that sucks about new radios, is these wiring harnesses are too short, and it'd be longer, and then you basically don't have enough room to do this. I mean, because what you're going to want to do after you get your wiring harness together, you're going to want to kind of pull it together like this and kind of tie it or zip tie it or something. And what that'll do is it'll take all the slack out of the wires, so that your shortest wire, I think this is the shortest wire, so that your shortest wire won't be pulled tight. See, that's the shortest wire right there. So your shortest wire won't be pulled tight, because if your shortest wire is pulled tight, it might have too much tension on it and it might end up breaking. So that's why you always want to do what I did, like fold your harness like this and use electrical tape or zip ties or something to kind of tie it like that. And that's why that didn't bend up, because it was like that. But anyways, whenever these wiring harnesses are too short, it makes it hard to bend and fold that wire up like that after you get it all connected and everything, and makes the job real hard. So